Here's your news for December 3rd, 2019. We're starting off today's video by having a look at Monday Night Raw, as Seth Rollins' apology didn't go quite according to plan. After blaming everyone but himself for Raw's dismal performance at Survivor Series, Rollins was in a much more apologetic mood this week and asked for forgiveness from the entire roster. That didn't sit right with Kevin Owens, who smelled a rat, and after seeing the AOP emerge behind him, suspected that this had been an ambush all along. To their credit, the former Raw Tag Team Champions tried to hide their alliance well, even challenging Rollins and Owens to a tag team match, but Owens walked away, instead heading backstage to find his own opponent. Fans may have gotten an apology from Rollins, but we're not quite sure the architect means it, as Seth's heel turn continues to be one of the more interesting parts of Raw. Backstage, Owens was still on the hunt for a new opponent, and it was Bobby Lashley who answered the challenge of the former Universal Champion. The singles match didn't last long though, as the AOP quickly struck to attack Owens, leading Rusev to try and make the save in violation of his wife's restraining order. After months of marital issues though, Rusev finally got a break, as the officer in question knew about the Bulgarian's woes and refused to arrest him. Clearly frustrated, Lana and Lashley took out their annoyance on the officer, but that was after the Destroyer shoulder-checked him while exiting, and Lana unwisely slapped him in the face. That was enough to get the pair arrested, much to the delight of Rusev, who watched on with glee. Next up, fans saw Drew McIntyre continue his path of rage on Raw with a dominant victory over Akira Tozawa, and even challenged Randy Orton after the match. Irate about Orton's thumb to the eye costing him a US title match last week, the Scottish psychopath was ready to get his revenge, but Orton had barely made his way to the ring when he was attacked by the OC. After all, it was Orton who cost Styles the US title last week, as the Viper's list of enemies continues to grow, but so does his list of allies. As the beatdown continued, it was ultimately Humberto Carrillo, Ricochet, and the new United States champion Rey Mysterio who made the save, delivering a defensive measure that drove the OC from the ring. Next, it was time for Aleister Black to make another impression, as the Dutchman picked up the win over a very game Tony Nese. Picking up the win over the former Cruiserweight champion, Black was watched intensely by Buddy Murphy, still sore after the pair's last encounter, but offered Black the advice that he should calm down. That may be easier said than done for the former NXT champion, as Black is itching to fight the Australian superstar who has so far chosen to keep his distance from the tattooed striker. While the next match saw Andrade pick up the victory over the hometown star Eric Young and demand more competition from the Raw roster, it's what happened outside the ring that got fans talking. During the match, the 2019 NASCAR champion Kyle Busch added another accolade to his resume when he pinned 24/7 champion R-Truth to win the gold, with Busch's seatmate Michael Waltrip serving as the referee. True to form though, Busch's win was short-lived, as when he went to get his first WWE photo shoot as a champion of the company, Truth rolled him up to regain the title, ending Busch's reign in its tracks. Eric Rowan continued his path of destruction of the 3-hour show next, as after weeks of demolishing local stars, the former tag team champion racked up another win, this time over No Way Jose. A meeting of two opposite personalities, Jose proved to be little competition for Rowan, and after the dancer tried to see what Rowan has been bringing to the ring each week, this sent the colossal monster into a frenzy. Demolishing Jose with an iron claw and the pin, Rowan continued to prove himself as a singles star, with the contents of his pen remaining as mysterious as ever. It was handicap match action up next, and after capturing 10 women's championships throughout her career, it's not crazy to think that Charlotte Flair believed she could defy the odds. Unfortunately for the Queen, she was up against the Kabuki Warriors, and Flair made a beeline for Asuka, who sprayed her twice in 2 nights last week. Locking the Empress in the figure 8 though, Flair was left prone for an attack by Kairi Sane, who dropped her insane elbow on the Queen to get the win for her team. More squash action next, as the Raw Tag Team Champions the Viking Raiders made quick work of a local tag team, as Mark Sterling and Mitchell Lyons easily fell to the Nordic superstars. Screaming, "Are you watching?" into the camera, it's unclear who the Raiders are hoping are tuning in, but for the sake of who they're addressing, we hope the answer is yes. It was main event time next as the OC took on Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, and Humberto Carrillo, though it was clearly Randy Orton who was in the head of the Phenomenal stable. After an epic six-man tag that saw great displays from both sides, it was Ricochet who slipped up, being caught in an Avalanche Styles clash, sealing the match for AJ and the best tag team in the world. It didn't take long for the now former US champion to gloat, but as AJ was making his victory lap, the Viper slithered his way into the ring to drop him with an RKO. If Styles wanted to send a message to Orton with his dominance in the match, then AJ clearly accomplished that, but it was the Legend Killer who had the last laugh to close out Raw, as it's obvious that the issues between the two former WWE champions are only going to get uglier from here. While this week's edition of Monday Night Raw was a huge show, we're looking ahead to WrestleMania 36 now, as the first few rumored matches for next year's show have started to come out. According to Alex McCarthy of TalkSport.com, the company is looking at two options for Brock Lesnar, including a rubber match with Cain Velasquez, as well as a possible match against Tyson Fury. Recently, Fury said he would defeat Brock Lesnar in 30 seconds in both a WWE match or a shoot fight, and as the report revealed, the Gypsy King's actions out of WWE may have an impact. It reads, "If Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder to become the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, the allure of having a boxing world champion face Lesnar is expected to be too much for Vince McMahon." Time will tell which match WWE decides for the Beast, but as always, it seems Lesnar will have an incredibly high-profile contest at the show. At SmackDown's premiere on Fox, Lesnar regained the WWE Championship in convincing fashion, and though he hasn't been around lately, Lesnar's part-time schedule is nothing new. That same report by TalkSport also revealed the Beast's schedule for the upcoming months. As McCarthy wrote, Lesnar is expected back on WWE television in January to set up a match for the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. It'll be interesting to see what the company does with the WWE Championship on the road to WrestleMania, as both Velasquez or Fury would love to hold the gold. Whatever happens, it looks like Lesnar won't be defending his title again until January next year, much to the annoyance of several fans. NXT news now, as Tommaso Ciampa's quest to regain the NXT title has continued, and the former champion isn't going anywhere. Earlier this year, Ciampa, alongside Johnny Gargano, Ricochet, and Aleister Black were all called up to the main roster, and while Black and Ricochet remained, the others got sent back down to NXT. This was fine with Ciampa, who has been vocal against being drafted to Raw or SmackDown, and this week revealed more on the Chasing Glory podcast, adding, "Now it's become a thing where I've legitimately vocalized to them like, if I have to go to Raw or SmackDown, then I'm gonna retire, and I would love to produce or coach or be a part of it. There's no way I'm taking on that load and going, yeah, you know what, I'll just have a 6-month run and call it quits. I just won't do it. It's just not worth it to me." After coming back from neck surgery, there's only so many bumps that Ciampa can take, and it seems the Blackheart knows his body won't be able to handle life as a Raw or SmackDown star. Though NXT is supposed to be the developmental brand for the Red and Blue brand, many fans consider it better than either show, and with NXT now growing as its own separate entity, Ciampa might remain an NXT fixture for the rest of his career. From one former NXT champion to another now, as Andrade and his girlfriend Charlotte Flair may be doing some business of their own soon outside of the company. According to the PW Insider, both stars have filed trademarks for their own names, with Andrade now owning the rights to use El Idolo en La Sombra, the name he used on the Indies before coming to WWE. Charlotte has applied for trademarks for the Queen of Wrestling and her real name Ashley Flair, with these trademarks being registered for merchandise reasons. This fact has left many fans speculating on what the future holds for the duo, as many are seeing this as a sign that both Andrade and the Queen want to leave the company. Whatever happens, both Andrade and Charlotte are two of the most athletically gifted stars on WWE TV, and would no doubt be successful wherever they went. One man who knows all about being a success in multiple companies is Bill Goldberg, and the former WCW World Heavyweight and Universal Champion is ready to make a return to the WWE, though not in the ring. Following a great interview with The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin will continue his new network show Broken Skull Sessions with Goldberg, and the Rattlesnake took to Twitter to share the big news. As two of the biggest stars of the Attitude Era, albeit in different companies, there's plenty for the pair to discuss, including Austin stunning Goldberg out of WWE at WrestleMania 20 in 2004. Much like how the first episode was released immediately after Survivor Series, this episode will air on December 15th, immediately after TLC on the WWE Network. One star who is expected to join Austin on the Broken Skull Sessions one day is CM Punk, as fans are still clamoring to hear what the best in the world has to say. One person who is also interested in Punk's tenure on WWE backstage is Ryback, who commented about his old adversary on his own podcast, and is of the opinion that Punk is leveraging WWE to get a main event match at WrestleMania where he actually goes on last. The big guy said, CM Punk, this weird dynamic, who at one time didn't want anything to do with pro wrestling, is all of a sudden going in and talking about WWE. And like I said, I think it's a weird chess game going on where he is going to go there and shoot on stuff in a more negative way and call bullshit when he sees it on things that he doesn't like, and he's allowed to give his opinion on different things. And Fox is going to allow it, where it is going to create a situation where he is going to probably be able to go back and get the WrestleMania main event match that he always wanted. That is what I feel like is going on, and that is why I feel like he didn't go to AEW. It's no secret that Punk has had his share of issues with the company, and part of that is because of how he was booked, as during his epic 434-day reign as WWE Champion, there were only a small handful of pay-per-views Punk actually main evented, often being overlooked for stars like John Cena or part-timers like The Rock. At this point, it's clear that Punk isn't going to AEW, and though we don't know when he'll show up in WWE, the Second City savior seems to be happy sitting at home with his wife AJ Lee and their dog Larry. One superstar who fans want to see Punk face is The Fiend Bray Wyatt, as the new demonic character is riding high on SmackDown as the Universal Champion. On SmackDown last week, The Fiend revealed his new design for the title, which fans can get for the price of a down payment on a reasonably mortgaged medium-sized home. Though many fans will never purchase the Wyatt title, one fan did have fun by making a parody photo with the gold, photoshopping The Fiend into the infamous image of Shawn Michaels posing for Playgirl. The iconic nude photo sees Michaels cover his little showstoppers with the WWF title that he held at the time, and this image itself has been parodied by the likes of Roderick Strong and Tommy Dreamer, the latter of whom described Wyatt on Twitter as one sexy beast. We're not sure who made this photoshopped masterpiece, but it seems Wyatt is fine with it, as he replied to Dreamer with a kissing emoji for a tweet that probably gave the Universal Champion some laughs. From one monster to another now, as we're ending today's video with Kane, who remains busier than ever despite not wrestling anymore. As mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, Kane has had a lot of new responsibility, but did find the time to speak to Busted Open Radio about his career. During the interview, the Big Red politician was asked about how Vince McMahon responded to the news of his campaign, and Kane said, "He was one of the first people I talked to about it, because I had to have his support because of course I was still with WWE. But he was very supportive, and here's the thing, Vince wants people to be successful, whether it's in WWE or outside WWE, because it helps his company. And also, we've had a long relationship, so in my case, of course, I think he wanted me to be happy in doing what I was doing. So yeah, he got a big grin when I talked to him about it, and he is as supportive as anyone can possibly be." Of course, everything worked out for Kane and his political aspirations, and though the former World Heavyweight Champion has ruled out running for president, he seems more than happy helping out the residents of Knox County as their mayor. But what do you think of Kane's shift from wrestling to politics? Do you feel like the Big Red Machine will return to the ring? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.